Forgettable seasons. Mark Harmon was NCIS as Special Agent Leroy Jethro Gibbs. He led the team with that tough but loving energy fans couldn't get enough of. So when he said goodbye after Season 19, Episode 4, hearts shattered and the questions began. Why would he leave such an iconic role? Was it drama behind the scenes? Burnout? A secret feud? Well, rumors flew in every direction, from creative differences to health concerns. But after staying silent for a long time, Mark Harmon finally broke his silence. And guess what? The real reason he left will seriously leave your jaw on the floor. Little beginnings. Before he became the fearless, no-nonsense special agent Jethro Gibbs on NCIS, Mark Harmon was just a kid with a big dream and an even bigger legacy to live up to. Born in Burbank, California, Mark was the youngest of 3 children. But this wasn't just any ordinary family. His dad? Tom Harmon, a Heisman Trophy-winning football legend and sports broadcaster. His mom? Elise Knox, a glamorous actress, model, and artist. Stardom was practically in his DNA. His sisters were in the spotlight too. Kristen Nelson was an actress and painter, once married to rock and roll heartthrob Rick Nelson. His other sister, Kelly Harmon, was also an actress and model, and once tied the knot with car mogul John DeLorean. Talk about a Hollywood family tree, but Mark wasn't riding anyone's coattails. He carved his own path, starting on the football field. After high school, he enrolled at Pierce College in L.A., where he quickly made a name for himself as a star quarterback. Big-time schools took notice, and despite big programs like Oklahoma Calling, Mark chose to play for UCLA, a team that had just had a rough season. And it paid off. In one of his first games, he helped UCLA pull off a jaw-dropping upset over the top-ranked Nebraska Cornhuskers, the reigning champs. The Bruins weren't even supposed to stand a chance, but they pulled off a 20-17 win, shocking college football. In his 2 seasons as UCLA's starting quarterback, Mark led his team to a 17-5 record, impressive by any standard. He even snagged the National Football Foundation Award for all-round excellence. But when the 1974 NFL Draft rolled around, Harmon didn't hear his name called. But no worries, because his next chapter was about to be even bigger. He graduated cum laude from UCLA with a degree in communications, then slowly made his way into acting. Little did anyone know this former quarterback would go on to steal America's hearts, not on the field, but on screen as the iconic Jethro Gibbs. From almost lawyer to TV icon, Mark Harmon's wild ride to fame. After graduating from UCLA, Mark Harmon wasn't racing toward Hollywood, not yet. In fact, he seriously considered a career in law or advertising. He even started off in business as a merchandising director. But the 9-to-5 life? Not quite his style. Then the acting bug bit, and hard. His first taste of national TV wasn't in a drama or soap opera, but in a commercial. A Kellogg's product, 19 cereal ad with none other than his dad, Tom Harmon, the longtime spokesman for the brand. That charming Harmon smile was already working its magic. Thanks to a little Hollywood connection, his sister Kristen was married into the famous Nelson family. As in Ozzie and Harriet, Mark landed his first acting role in an episode of Ozzie's Girls. That small break opened the door to guest appearances on shows like Adam Toll, Policewoman, and Emergency in 1975. Then came 905 Wild, a pilot episode about L.A. animal control officers. It didn't take off, but it got Mark noticed. Producer Jack Webb liked what he saw, and later cast him in Sam, a series about an LAPD officer and his K-9 partner. Again, it was short-lived, but Harmon wasn't going anywhere. His breakout moment came with a role in the acclaimed TV film Eleanor and Franklin, The White House Years, earning him an Emmy nomination for Outstanding Supporting Actor. That was the signal. This guy had real acting chops. In 1978, he appeared in the hit miniseries Centennial as a brave Union cavalry officer, proving he could hold his own in serious drama. Over the late 70s, Mark kept popping up everywhere. Laverne and Shirley, The Hardy Boys, Del Vecchio, and even in movies like Comes a Horseman and Beyond the Poseidon Adventure. Then came 240 Robert, where he played a heroic deputy in a fast-paced action series. Cool show, but again, short run, but the best was just around the corner. In 1983, Harmon joined St. Elsewhere as Dr. Robert Caldwell, a charming surgeon whose storyline took a groundbreaking turn when he contracted HIV from unprotected sex. It was one of the first times a major TV character faced the AIDS crisis head-on, and Harmon handled it with grace and depth. While juggling his rising fame, Harmon also became the face of Coors beer in the mid-'80s, appearing in commercials and further cementing his status as a household name. From almost being a lawyer to playing doctors, deputies, and everything in between, Mark Harmon was just getting warmed up. The role of a lifetime was still waiting for him. Jethro Gibbs. By 1986, Mark Harmon wasn't just a rising star, he was the star. In January of that year, People magazine officially crowned him the sexiest man alive. And honestly, they weren't wrong. Fresh off his exit from St. Elsewhere, Harmon took Hollywood by storm. He showed off his range in two very different TV movies, The Prince of Bel-Air, a romantic drama alongside Kirstie Alley, and The Deliberate Stranger, where he gave a chilling performance as real-life serial killer Ted Bundy. With shocked audiences in the best way possible, Harmon wasn't just a pretty face. He had acting chops that could get dark, gritty, and real. As the 90s kicked off, Harmon made his way back to TV, this time as a Chicago cop in Reasonable Doubts, 1991 to 1993. Though short-lived, it gave him another chance to show off his serious side. He even popped up in a random but fun episode of Hearts of the West in 1993, alongside a young Sean Murray, who'd later become NCIS's beloved McGee. Talk about foreshadowing. In 1995, he headlined Charlie Grace, playing a cool private investigator. But the show only lasted one season. No worries, bigger things were coming. From 1996 to 2000, he returned to hospital halls as Dr. Jack McNeil in Chicago Hope. It was a solid run that proved Harmon still had TV magic. Around this time, he also took a quick trip to space, sort of playing astronaut Wally Schirra in HBO's From the Earth to the Moon, 1998. In 2003, Harmon had a fun supporting role in the hit comedy Freaky Friday, the Lindsay Lohan-Jamie Lee Curtis version, just as he was preparing to land the role that would define his legacy. But before he became NCIS's Leroy Jethro Gibbs, Harmon made time for the stage. He starred in Wrestlers, The Wager, and Key Exchange, and even shared the spotlight with his real-life wife Pam Dauber in several productions of Love Letters, giving fans a rare peek into their off-screen chemistry. How Mark Harmon almost didn't become the face of NCIS. Back in May 2002, Mark Harmon wasn't exactly on the hunt for a long-running TV gig, but fate had other plans. He appeared on The West Wing in a 4-episode arc as Secret Service agent Simon Donovan, and the performance was so compelling that it earned him his second Emmy nomination, exactly 25 years after his first. Talk about a full-circle moment, but the real magic happened behind the scenes. One very important viewer happened to catch Harmon's performance, Donald P. Belisario, the legendary creator of JAG and what would soon become NCIS. Belisario was so impressed that he invited Harmon to guest star in 2 episodes of JAG in April 2003. Those 2 episodes weren't just another guest appearance, they were the unofficial pilot for a bold new spin-off. And just like that, Leroy Jethro Gibbs was born. By September 2003, NCIS premiered on CBS with Harmon in the lead role. And he owned it. Over the next 19 seasons, Harmon brought a quiet strength, unshakable integrity, and just enough mystery to make Gibbs one of the most beloved characters on TV. This couldn't get enough of his signature rules, no-nonsense attitude, and soft spot for his team. His portrayal earned him 6 People's Choice Award nominations, including a win in 2017 for Favorite TV Crime Drama Actor. And as the years rolled by, Harmon didn't just play the lead. He ran the ship. By 2008, he was also serving as a producer and executive producer, helping to shape the world of NCIS from behind the scenes. Over the years, Harmon got to reunite with some familiar faces, including Chicago Hope alums Rocky Carroll, Lauren Holly, and Jane Brooke, making NCIS a full-circle moment in more ways than one. But here's the twist you probably didn't see coming. Mark Harmon wasn't even the first choice to play Gibbs. Shocking, right? Yep. People that defined a generation of crime dramas almost went to someone else. But once Harmon stepped into those polished boots and locked eyes with the camera, it was clear. He was Gibbs. And the rest? TV history. Actors who were considered before Mark Harmon. Looking back, it's hard to imagine anyone but Mark Harmon playing the gruff, no-nonsense NCIS team leader, Leroy Jethro Gibbs. Though the role didn't exactly revive Harmon's career, he already had an impressive resume with acclaimed shows like St. Elsewhere and Chicago Hope. It quickly became his signature part. Over the course of 19 seasons, Harmon made Gibbs the undeniable heart and soul of the NCIS ensemble. Although Harmon departed the show in 2021, the character of Gibbs lives on. In 2024, CBS premiered NCIS Origins, a prequel series starring Austin Stowell as a young Gibbs, with Harmon providing narration in a style reminiscent of young Sheldon. Given Harmon's towering presence within the NCIS franchise, it might surprise fans to learn that the show's creators didn't immediately reach out to him when they first dreamed up the character of Gibbs. During a 2023 interview with The Hollywood Reporter, former CBS casting chief Peter Golden revealed that Harmon's name only entered the conversation after other candidates had been considered. Golden explained that casting director Susan Bluestein suggested Harmon somewhat late in the process. Susan said, "What about Mark Harmon?" he recalled. "Mark was a big deal, and everyone thought, we'll make an offer to Mark Harmon, and when we don't get him, we'll move down the list." But after a meeting between Harmon and NCIS co-creator Don Belisario, the two hit it off immediately, and Harmon agreed to join the show. Golden added, "All of a sudden, the show took on much more importance in my mind." While Mark Harmon was certainly a catch, thanks to his status as a successful actor, the original plan for the role of Leroy Jethro Gibbs was even more ambitious. The first major candidate NCIS seriously considered was Scott Glenn. Known for his strong film career with titles like Silence of the Lambs and Training Day, Glenn was a bold choice at a time when it was uncommon for big-screen actors to move into TV. Susan Bluestein, the casting director, told The Hollywood Reporter that the producers were very interested in casting Glenn, either as Gibbs or as the eccentric medical examiner, Donald "Ducky" Mallard. She said that Scott Glenn was considered for both roles and that there had been extensive discussion about him. But ultimately, Glenn passed on the opportunity. She also mentioned that other actors passed on the role of Gibbs as well. Although Scott Glenn didn't end up playing Gibbs, he eventually returned to television with a series of TV movies in the mid-2000s and later took on prominent TV roles, including the blind martial arts master Stick. In Marvel's Defenders Saga shows, Kevin Garvey Sr. on The Leftovers and Alan Pangborn on Castle Rock. The role of Ducky Mallard went to David McCallum, known for the man from Uncle, who remained on NCIS until his death in 2023. Scott Glenn, however, wasn't even the most surprising name considered for Gibbs during the earliest planning stages. Susan Bluestein revealed that NCIS had brainstormed several big-name actors, including Harrison Ford, who was an early favorite for the role. The team thought Ford would be a magnificent choice, but knew the chances of securing him were extremely slim. Peter Golden, former head of CBS casting, explained that when casting began, no name was off the table. He said that in the early 2000s, stars like Harrison Ford rarely worked in TV, but they still included such names in their initial discussions. Bluestein described the early casting process as an open brainstorming session where the team wrote down a long list of familiar actors who might suit the role of Gibbs. She mentioned that while they never formally made offers to all of them, the list included names such as Alec Baldwin, Chris Cooper, Clive Owen, Kevin Bacon, Tom Berenger, Val Kilmer, Charlie Sheen, Aidan Quinn, and Patrick Swayze. She clarified that they investigated these actors' availability, but ultimately did not reach out to all of them with offers. Imagining NCIS with Kevin Bacon, or Charlie Sheen as the head of the major case response team, or Scott Glenn as Ducky, is fascinating. But in the end, the show found its perfect lead in Mark Harmon, who accepted the role and made it his defining character. This insight into NCIS's casting history highlights just how complex and uncertain the process can be before a show takes off. The real reason Mark Harmon left NCIS for nearly 2 decades, Special Agent Leroy Jethro Gibbs wasn't just a character. He was the soul of NCIS. From the show's launch in 2003 through 18 explosive seasons, Gibbs anchored the team, navigated personal loss, and upheld an unwavering moral compass. So when Mark Harmon quietly exited early in season 19, fans were left asking, why now? While Harmon remained involved behind the scenes as executive producer, his iconic character disappeared from the field. And although NCIS has weathered major exits before, from Tony, Ziva, Abby, and Kate, none landed quite like Gibbs. Farewell, but the exit was anything but abrupt. Gibbs's final case was deeply personal and quietly climactic. In his last episodes, Gibbs pursued a complex investigation that led him to Noktok, Alaska, and a mining corporation, Sanova Industries, responsible for killing a journalist and trying to cover up environmental destruction. Gibbs broke ranks, ditched the FBI, and even broke the law by helping the hitman reach his final destination in exchange for information. This could have been arrested. He even intended to be, but new team leader Alden Parker, played by Gary Cole, saw the bigger picture, the lives Gibbs saved, the justice he delivered, and the peace he'd finally found. Rather than bring him in, Parker let him go and lost his job over it. And that brings us to the real heart of Gibbs's departure. For the first time since the tragic deaths of his wife and daughter, Gibbs found peace, not in D.C., not behind a desk, but in the stillness of Alaska, away from crime scenes and the weight of loss. The moment he dropped his phone into a coffee mug said it all. He wasn't just walking away from a case. He was letting go of the past. He didn't retire. He didn't die. He didn't disappear in disgrace. He finally healed. And maybe, just maybe, that's the best ending a character like Gibbs could ever ask for. After NCIS Season 18, Mark Harmon was ready to step away from the screen. He negotiated a short appearance at the start of Season 19, just enough to help the show get renewed, and then officially exited as Leroy Jethro Gibbs. As a longtime producer and core figure in the series, Harmon remained deeply invested in NCIS's future. And according to him, there was no drama behind the scenes. Just a quiet, clear decision. Harmon explained that what always kept him coming back was the character itself. But eventually, he felt Gibbs had completed his journey. After nearly 20 years of leading the team, solving cases, and enduring deep personal losses, Harmon said it was simply time for Gibbs to find peace, and for him to pass the torch. Instead of leaving at the end of a season, Harmon chose to exit early in Season 19. It gave the show a chance to prove it could survive without him. And it worked. NCIS had time to steady itself and keep its audience engaged. In an interview on The Kelly Clarkson Show, Harmon shared that he had been feeling tired for a while. He took the job originally to be close to home and spend time with his young family. But he admitted that on day one, they worked for 22 hours straight, something that quickly became the norm during the show's early seasons. But all right, Harmon has left. The food isn't closed on his character. Showrunner Steve Binder made it clear that Harmon's departure didn't mean the end for Gibbs. He called Harmon a dear friend and vital part of the NCIS legacy. In a statement, Binder explained that the show's guiding principle has always been staying true to its characters. And for that reason, fans should never count Gibbs out. Even though Harmon's exit was a massive moment for the series, NCIS managed to carry on. Over the years, fans had already experienced the loss of several beloved characters, but Gibbs was easily the most central. Thankfully, Gary Cole stepped in as Agent Alden Parker, filling the void left behind. Cole's character was introduced as an outsider, but after Parker was fired by the FBI for helping Gibbs, he was offered a role at NCIS. His addition helped steady the show and ease the transition after Harmon's departure. Harmon's cautious early exit was a test, and NCIS passed. The show continued to thrive, proving it could move forward without its original lead. And while the loss of Gibbs was deeply felt, Agent Parker gave the team and the fans someone new to root for. Mark Harmon said he could always return if needed. A year after Gibbs left NCIS, Mark Harmon finally opened up about why he stepped away and what the future might still hold. Speaking on the NCIS Season 19 DVD release, Harmon said his exit wasn't about leaving the show behind forever. After 18 seasons playing Leroy Jethro Gibbs, he admitted he was craving something more fresh and challenging, something that just wasn't possible with the show's demanding schedule. But still, he didn't close the door completely. Harmon clarified that Gibbs isn't technically retired. He's just living in Alaska. He explained that the character took the path he felt was honest, but also left room for a return. Plot-wise, this character has taken the path that it did, he said. I thought it was honest. So while Gibbs hasn't reappeared yet, he hasn't been forgotten either. NCIS continues to keep his presence alive. After leaving NCIS, Harmon took some real time off. He'd said he wanted new challenges, but first he needed a break to recharge. During that time, he made his author debut. Harmon teamed up with retired NCIS Special Agent Leon Carroll Jr. to write Ghosts of Honolulu, a Japanese spy, a Japanese-American spy hunter, and the untold story of Pearl Harbor. He also narrated the audiobook himself. But Harmon's break is officially over. In 2025, Mark returned to the big screen for the first time since 2010, reprising his role as Ryan in Freaky Friday 2. He originally played Jamie Lee Curtis's fiancée in the 2003 classic and is expected to return as her husband in the sequel. Though fans might love the character Harmon played on NCIS, the same cannot be said about Harmon himself. The sexual assault allegation. Former NCIS star Holly Perrette, best known for playing the beloved goth forensic scientist Abby Shuto for 15 seasons, shook the NCIS fandom in recent years with serious allegations against her co-star and executive producer, Mark Harmon. While their on-screen chemistry painted a picture of loyalty and mutual respect, the reality, according to Perrette, was far from it. In October 2017, Perrette announced her departure from the hit show. At the time, she reassured fans that there was no bad blood, saying her exit wasn't due to drama and that her network and the show weren't upset with her. She claimed the decision had been made a year earlier and insisted it was simply the right time to leave. However, things took a shocking turn after her final episode aired in April 2018. Perrette posted a cryptic but emotionally charged series of now-deleted tweets that suggested a much darker reason behind her sudden exit. While she didn't name names at the time, her implications were crystal clear. She wrote that she had chosen not to go low, which was why she had not publicly spoken out about what had really happened. She hinted at behind-the-scenes chaos, tweeting that there were tabloid lies being spread about her, and that although she had tried to protect the jobs of her crew, she was questioning whether her silence about what she called crime was the right choice. "There is a machine keeping me silent," she tweeted, accusing unnamed forces of spreading false stories, and adding that those responsible had no morals, no obligation to truth. She closed one of the tweets ominously. "He did it." One came the most alarming message. "Multiple physical assaults," she alleged, adding, "Nothing is worth your safety. Tell someone." Many fans were left baffled and deeply concerned, while others questioned the vagueness of her tweets. Skeptics pointed out that no police reports had been filed, and without specific details, the Internet was left to fill in the blank. However, most signs pointed to one man, Mark Harmon. The speculation tied back to an incident in 2016, when Harmon allegedly brought his untrained rescue dog to the NCIS set. Reports at the time claimed that the dog had bitten a crew member, causing a serious injury that required 16 stitches near the eye. According to sources, Perrette had expressed concern about the dog being allowed back on set afterwards. Rumors spread that this confrontation may have soured their working relationship. It's been widely assumed that the escalating tension following the dog attack was the tipping point that led to Perrette's departure. Though she avoided using Harmon's name for nearly a year, that silence came to an end just days ago. In a fresh series of tweets, Perrette directly named Harmon and issued a plea to fans to stop asking her to return to NCIS. She claimed she was terrified of Harmon and still had nightmares about what she said he had done to her. Promoting her newer, light-hearted sitcom, Broke, she wrote that it was a safe and happy show, unlike her time on NCIS. Then things got even more intense. Perrette posted graphic photos of a crew member's injured face with stitches and stated that she had fought like hell to stop similar things from happening again. She said she had tried to protect her crew, but in doing so, she herself had been physically assaulted and ultimately lost her job. She alleged that Harmon had body-checked her on set in what she described as an attempt to intimidate her after the infamous dog incident, that she claimed was the final straw. CBS didn't stay entirely silent. A network spokesperson confirmed that Perrette had brought a workplace concern to their attention more than a year earlier. "We took the matter seriously and worked with her to find a resolution," the statement read. But CBS did not elaborate further, and no disciplinary action was ever publicly announced against Harmon. Interestingly, Mark Harmon has never publicly responded to Perrette's allegation. This silence has sparked countless debates. Some believe Harmon is deliberately taking the high road, avoiding fanning the flames. Others speculate that he might be legally bound by a non-disclosure agreement or gag order, especially given NCIS's enormous success and high ratings. With nearly 12 million viewers weekly, Harmon has been labeled primetime gold by insiders. Any scandal involving him could have far-reaching consequences. Still, others argue that if Harmon is innocent, a public denial would be warranted, especially in the face of such damning accusations. But so far, there's been nothing but silence. This entire saga has left fans conflicted and emotional. Harmon and Perrette's characters shared a beloved dynamic. Abby and Gibbs were the heart of the show for many. To hear that the real-life relationship may have involved intimidation, fear, and unresolved trauma has been hard to process. Adding to the intrigue is the fact that both actors have remained fan favorites. In 2017, Perrette's Q-score, a metric for celebrity likability, was on par with legends like Tom Hanks and Morgan Freeman. Meanwhile, Harmon took home a People's Choice Award for Favorite TV Drama Actor and is widely admired off-screen as well. For example, famously pulling a man from a burning car years ago. Perrette has moved on, focusing on her new show and her passion for animals. A dedicated dog lover, she owns 3 dogs herself and is actively involved with the Amanda Foundation, a rescue organization. As for Harmon, he's still the face of NCIS, and unless something changes, he doesn't appear ready or willing to break his silence anytime soon. The truth behind what really happened may still be murky, but one thing is clear. The behind-the-scenes drama at NCIS continues to fascinate, disturb, and divide fans to this day. What do you think about Mark Harmon and the entire NCIS franchise? Share your thoughts with us in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, remember to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to check out the next video on your screen. You will enjoy it.